Yes, boys. Welcome to the first video on this channel. And the question is, are Man City ready for the start of the season? Now, we have to start at the right back position, surely. If you go back to last season, I think if you asked any Man City fan what his ideal first transfer would be, it would be a right back. And I think the majority would have said Livramento. The right back market isn't overly saturated. There's not a great deal of right backs you can go and get. I think Livramento is the closest that we would have had to a Walker, where again defensively he's not the best right back in the world, but his pace gets you out of jail. It's with the problem being with a Diaz and a Gvardiol as your starting centre backs. You've got no real pace. So Walker was that pace. He used to get back, take the ball off you, or he would delay and the other team players, they'd get back. Now, Livramento for me, again, he would have been perfect for that. I think he's fast. He's strong enough. And I think he also offers you slightly more going forward than a Walker does. Albeit, I still don't think he's great going forward, but I think he would have fit in pretty well. But we're starting the season with Núñez at right back. Now, this for me screams problem. It just looks like your season ender is right there. Now, Rodri being out has caused all these questions to be asked. Because especially in the treble winning season, he offered so much protection that you almost look past the faults of others. So with that being gone, you're now looking at it going, hold on, we've got these issues here and we need to deal with them quick, like sharpish. Otherwise, you can't go into a Champions League final with Núñez as your right back and think, yeah, we're all right. We look defensive here. We look good. It's just never going to happen. Now, I think Núñez, he has a place in this team. I think he's a good, solid kind of backup player. But the key word is backup. He's not a starting right back. He cannot be your starting right back. That's not to say that we can't win the season with him at right back, because of course you can. We've seen Delph, we've seen Zinchenko, but the confidence that it puts into everyone else is not there. Fans, the centre backs, the goalkeeper. I don't think anyone would look at Núñez and think he's got me covered. Now, it doesn't look, I don't think, like we're going to fill that spot. So it looks like it's going to be Núñez and Akanji, possibly, that are going to be your right backs. Now, none of us want to see Akanji at right back. We've seen it. We've dealt with it. It's the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life. You cannot have Akanji as your right back. It offers us absolutely nothing. He's not fast enough. Even defensively, I think he's just as much as a bozo moment player as Núñez. So you're automatically looking at that going, that's a problem area. Now, we have Husanov, right? I think a lot of Man City fans would want to see him starting as a centre-back, maybe partnered with Gvardiol. I don't think I've seen enough of Diaz recently to think he's undroppable. And I think with his pace, I think Kusanov can get you out of trouble. I think he's better in the air than Diaz. He wins more headers. I think Diaz's stats were some of the lowest in the league for defenders winning that first header. I don't think he's great at that. I don't think he's great on corners. And I actually think he might have been, and this, hey, don't bite my head off for saying this. This is just my opinion, okay? I think Stones may have made him look better than he actually is. It's not to say he's not a great defender, and he's an elite level defender. But I think when he was partnered with Stones and they were both fully fit, I think Stones made him look incredible because Stones is that good for me. If you could give me a Stones in a world where injuries didn't exist, I would take Stones over 90% of defenders. He's an absolute baller. He's a different level of player. You saw him dropping in that Champions League. I mean, it's not a centre-back performance, but when you saw him in that Champions League final drop into that midfield, apart from Messi, there's never been a greater performance by a midfielder than that Stones performance. He was absolutely incredible. But you can't rely on him. And the problem is, you can't rely on Stones, you can't rely on Akanji, you can't rely on Ake, you can't rely on Nunez. There's so many players in this team that you can't rely on, whether that's injury, bozo moments, or you even look further up the pitch to Savio, who may be leaving, we'll get on to that, Doku. There's no goals. You're not getting goals out of them. Now, Savio got some assists last season. I believe it was 12, 13, something around there. But if you're not pairing that with kind of 12 goals plus, for me, you're in trouble. Because we saw it last season. There was no creativity. There was no... apart from Haaland, no one could finish. And even him, at times, looked shaky. So you're looking at your squad and you're going, where are the goals coming from? And where are the goals coming in? Where are they leaking in? Now, the goals leaking in for me is Rodri being out and Nunez being your right back. Not to mention that Ederson now might be leaving. We're still waiting to hear news on that. I believe today that Pep's come out and said, or there's information out there that he's not going to be playing against Wolves, which probably indicates that he's leaving. So you've got Trafford coming in. I'm not 100% sold on Trafford. Now, Trafford's one of those players where I would love for Trafford to come in and have an absolute blinder of a season and blow everyone away and just say, right, this is my spot. Oh, and that England spot, I'm grabbing that and I'm being number one for England as well. And we've got a goalkeeper for the next 10 years. I'd love it, but I'm not 100% sold on it. My opinion, I'm not. If Donnarumma came in, I think he has to be your starting goalkeeper just because his shot stopping ability on the line and even saving ability in general, I think apart from a Courtois, there's no one better than him. I think for the majority of games, we shouldn't be losing the ball that much that he has to be that great with his feet. The majority of teams don't press us, right? They just don't. They sit off, they wait for a counter. We don't really need someone to be amazing with the feet. We need them to be good. We need them to be good with the feet. So if he comes in, I think he helps. I think, especially in a Champions League setting, I think Donnarumma is a huge boost in a Champions League setting. I think the confidence that you get from a Donnarumma being in goal, whether it's penalties, whether it's just saving shots, I think would be massive for the team. I think Nico G has a big season ahead of him. I think if you're really to cement your place in this squad, I think now is going to be it. Because I from my point of view, I'd probably say Man City go in for Wharton next season, which would also be the smart thing to do. Look, he is the definition of a Pep player. Now, whether or not that happens, that's future. Let's talk about now. So Nico G is for me is going to be that holding midfielder, probably paired with like a Reinders on a pivot. Whereas Reinders is going to be going forward, I think, a bit more like a Gundogan. I think he's a box crasher. His finishing is actually better than I thought it was. He could be a real signing of the season. He could be really good. Xerxes, listen, I don't have to just say much about Xerxes. This guy is, for me, watching him is like old Prem. It's like Barkley's Prem. It's like that flair, that little, you see some step overs, a few skill moves, a little dink over the top. Maybe he could be something special to watch. And I think City fans, I think we've needed it, right? We've needed it. Last season, we watched the ball go side to side this many times. I've been sat at the game doing this, going home with neck ache. It was atrocious. I don't want to do it again. I don't. I would prefer to take the risks, to get some creativity in there, to see something, you know? Again, though, that leads back to defensively. If you're taking more risks going forward, you're more susceptible to losing the ball. Now, losing the ball is not a problem when you've got a Rodri in the team or a Walker at right back, and you can make up that ground and you can break it down. I've not seen anything from last season's midfield or Nunez at right back that makes me feel confident in them being able to stop that happening. So that's my worry for the season, would be defensively. I think attacking, we're going to look amazing. Probably the best in the world, honestly. I think apart from PSG, where you've got kind of sort of real individual players that are amazing, I think we're the strongest going forward by a mile. Now, we've got Oscar Bob back, and if he can stay fit, I think he's a huge player. I think he's levels above Savio for me. I think he's levels above Doku for me. Just because he has a composure level that they don't have. You saw it against the goal against Newcastle, where he takes the ball, controls it, left foot, right foot, takes it around the keeper, puts it away. You'll never see that from Savio or Doku. You'll never see it. You can't teach that level of composure. You can't. It's like, I mean, we go back to it, right? The dreaded transfer of Cole Palmer. You can't teach that level of arrogance and composure and just going out there and saying, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Don't worry about it. I think Bob has that in his locker, which is why you see with his finishing, I think is, again, levels ahead. If he can stay fit, he's a massive player. I think he's also probably the main reason why we're hearing about Savio leaving. I think he's probably seen Bob and how he's performing and how he was performing pre-injury, and the World Cup's coming up and Savio knows I need to be playing if I want to make that World Cup. And for me, he's bottled it. He's looked at it and said, listen, I don't want the competition. He said, you have it, mate. I'm done. Like, I'll go somewhere where I'll start every week. Doesn't matter how I perform, I'm starting. Right? At Tottenham, he's obviously going to start. So, for me, Bob's massive. I think Xerxes on the right-hand side can also be a viable option. I think that can work well. What I don't want to see is Pep revert to the unks, as we call them, right? Respectfully, unks. We don't want to see that. We don't want to see that boring football. We saw it in the second half against Palermo, where it got slow. There was no threat. It just looked like the old us of last season. And if you look at that, we took the players off that were giving us the energy. We brought the older players on, and it just died quickly. It was going backwards, sideways, backwards, sideways. There's no Man City fan in the world that wants to see that for another season. Whether we win the league or lose the league, you don't want to see boring football. No one wants to watch boring football. No one. I want to see balls over the top for Haaland to sprint in behind and bury one. I want to see Xerxes nutmeg 5 people and then put it top bins and headbutt the ref. I want to see it. Do you know what I mean? I don't want this crab football of sideways, 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 sideways. I'm not interested in it. So, for me, I think Man City can win the league. And I think Man City can win the league quite comfortably. that depends on Nunes for me and how he adapts. If you can get a couple levels higher of Nunes and he can perform at a slightly higher degree and stop making those errors, I think Man City are in for a real good season. A real good season. And I think not only will it be good in terms of successful and with bringing trophies in, I think it'll also be good in terms of entertainment. Because that's what it is, right? We all want to sit there and watch it and go, yeah, that was mint. That was absolutely mint. And I can't remember one time last season where I sat there and thought, yes, this is it. This is what I came for. I haven't seen it. So, first game's tomorrow. I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm ready. I've made this channel, so I'll be back again tomorrow with a new video, hopefully talking about how Man City have obliterated Wolves and we're winning the league and we're getting absolutely W glaze all over every single player. We'll wait and see for that. If you've watched this video, nice one. Please, if you could subscribe, like it if you can, whatever you do on YouTube, you know how it is. If you could do that for me, mean a lot. Hopefully see you tomorrow. Nice one.